It's Thursday, and that means I have a co-host joining me. This week, it's Ashley Mann, who comes on the show, and we talk about all of our SummerSlam predictions. It all starts right now.
Welcome to the WWE Podcast, your place for the most passionate wrestling analysis on the web.
Just turn Roman heel. What is WWE waiting for?
When other wrestling podcasts put you to sleep, you can count on the WWE Podcast to keep you engaged and asking for more.
I've been watching wrestling for over 20 years, and that was one of the best matches I've ever seen.
This is unlike any other wrestling analysis. So without any further delay, let's get the show started right now.
This is the WWE Podcast on this Thursday, August 8th, 2019. One of my favorite shows of the week, and where I bring on a co-host and we discuss some of the big ticket items that happened during the week. And if it's a pay-per-view week, of course, we give our thoughts and predictions for the show. And this week, Ashley Mann joins me, and we go over our SummerSlam predictions. Quite a few interesting thoughts that she had on who may actually be behind the Roman Reigns mystery attacker, and it may not be somebody anybody's thinking about right now. Very interesting theory that happens towards the end of the show, so you'll have to stay tuned for that. It's very interesting and very logical as well. She gives us her thoughts on everything. I mean, from the Goldberg saga, him returning, Seth Rollins getting beat down. And I said this with her at the very beginning of the show, and it was a common theme throughout the conversation I had is this show, SummerSlam, seems to be too predictable. Too many matches look too easy to pick. And what happens when that happens? What does WWE do? What does Vince McMahon do in response? Vince McMahon throws a curveball when everybody else expects a fastball. And I really believe that there are some matches on here, and trust me, Ashley and I give some bold predictions on matches that everybody is thinking, they have to win. He or she has to win this match. And we give some reasons why that may not be the case. There's some good logic here, and I got to credit Ashley for bringing up some good points. And so that's going to be coming in just a minute. But before I do, I want to, again, just thank you for listening to the WWE Podcast. You guys can follow me on Twitter at the WWE Podcast, and really find me anywhere at social media, Instagram, Facebook. It's all under the WWE Podcast. And the website, if you want to support the show, click on the Support the Show tab, and there's a Amazon banner. And you click on the banner, and all you got to do is just do your shopping as normal. And it kicks back a small percentage of whatever you normally buy to us. Doesn't cost you anything extra. Or you can just do something else and rate and review us on any podcast app, including Apple Podcasts. It really helps us in the rankings, everything else. If you have a moment, please do that. Or go to patreon.com/WWE Podcast, and you can get this entire show and every other show I've ever done ad-free. Ad-free. No more ads. Gone. And that is available on Patreon. One other thing I want to mention, and I know that Ashley plugged this in a couple of times on the show that we just did, and she's doing a podcast herself. It's called Wrestle Rewind, and it's going to be every Thursday on Facebook Live, I believe. Just search out Wrestle Rewind, and they're going to be interacting with listeners live. Eventually, they're going to be on Apple Podcasts and all those major podcast apps. So check them out. I really think that it's going to be a great show. I have no doubt that Ashley is going to be a huge contribution to the show. She's very smart, well-spoken, and passionate about wrestling. That's really the three things you need. And so it'll be cool to have live video, a different format from this show. So, hey, not that I'm trying to tell you guys to leave this show and listen to hers only. I think you could do both, but I have no doubt that it's going to be a success. So check out Wrestle Rewind on Facebook Live, and I think you'll be glad you did. So, guys, just so you know, again, just as a reminder, if you didn't listen to my shows earlier in the week, I have a wonky schedule next week. I'll be traveling to San Diego for work. So instead of a Sunday Wrestling Nostalgia show, it's going to actually be done Monday. I'll have a show Tuesday and a show Wednesday. I'm traveling all day Thursday, so I will not have a chance to do my normal Thursday gig with my co-host. We may not have one. We may actually skip it next week. I'm going to be jet lagged. We'll see. We will see. I will at least have a minimum of 3 shows of reviewing Raw, reviewing SmackDown, and a Wrestling Nostalgia show on Monday. It's going to be coming out a little bit later in the day than normal, obviously with the time change. It's going to be a very wonky week. I will get you the audio you're craving, so do not worry. It's going to be coming your way, so no worries there. Okay, well, guys, enough of this. Let's just get to the conversation. Let's get to SummerSlam, which I think is going to be a very interesting show and one that we'll be talking about, no doubt about it. So without further ado, here's Ashley and myself talking about SummerSlam 2019. All right, and welcome to the WWE podcast on our co-host edition, which is Thursday. And this time around, it is Ashley Mann who's back and excited to talk to you on a SummerSlam week. It's already SummerSlam, and I've mentioned this before. It seems like it's coming about 3 weeks earlier this year. It seems super early, but it is one of the biggest pay-per-views of the year, and I'm excited to talk about SummerSlam, our predictions, and of course some of the big ticket items that happened during the week. So, Ashley, welcome back to the show, and it's great to have you back on a big SummerSlam week.
Yes, it's so great to be back. Thanks for having me, Matt. I'm so excited to talk about SummerSlam with you. I feel like it's going to be a loaded show. A lot has happened since the last time we talked, so yeah, it's just going to be good to catch up and talk wrestling.
Definitely. And speaking of talking wrestling, I know that you have another show that you're just starting in the infancy stages and is on Facebook. So just tell the listeners a little bit about that show and where they can find it.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you. It's called Wrestle Rewind. Like you said, right now it is on Facebook, but the next day you can find it on your regular podcast feed, like Apple Podcasts or whatever. But yeah, a few friends of mine around here get together. We just talk about wrestling, what's happened in the previous week, and it's a video feed, so you can watch live with us as we're going through the show, or you can catch it the next day, like I said, on the podcast. But it's called Wrestle Rewind, and we just kind of, like I said, go over kind of what you do here. Just go over the major things happening in the wrestling world, our predictions, how we feel about certain angles and characters, and just stuff like that. So it's pretty fun and interactive. We try to keep up with people who are chiming in the comment section. So, yeah, but we're still, like I said, in the infancy stage, so we're definitely looking to increase production and show quality in the next few weeks. But yeah, definitely check it out. Again, it's called Wrestle Rewind, and love any feedback on it.
Absolutely, and I will for sure be checking that out. It's always cool, and it's a different format than what we do here. Obviously, with you doing video and doing it live, where you're able to interact in real time with your listeners, which is a pretty cool deal.
Yeah, for sure. It's definitely fun just seeing how people react to any little comment that you make, and it's kind of more laid back and kind of chilled atmosphere because we're all friends. So it's literally just talking wrestling with your friends for about an hour and a half or something like that. But yeah, like I said, we're looking to be more interactive in the future, like with a mailbag and all that stuff. But for right now, the comment section is kind of where it's at. But yeah, it's fun. You should definitely check it out.
Awesome. Well, we will keep my listeners abreast of exactly where you're at with it, and as you add new features and up the quality and spread your knowledge and really spread your awareness and on different platforms as you continue to expand. Obviously, we will keep my listeners abroad. So thank you so much for letting my listeners know. You guys should check it out. I have no doubt that it is going to be a very successful and well done show. Trust me. So let's get into the topic of the week, and that is SummerSlam, and there's a lot to get to. We're going to run down the card with both of our predictions, but before we do that, I just want to talk to you about and get your opinions on, because my listeners have already heard mine. What are your thoughts on some of the big items this week? And I guess I'll start with Roman Reigns' mystery attacker that apparently is Rowan, but could also be Daniel Bryan. I mean, what are you thinking about this whole thing? Are you enjoying it, and who do you think the attacker may be?
I am very intrigued to see where they go with this. Before the big reveal this week, I kind of saw a few things on Twitter, with people pointing out that it looked like it was Roman and the screen grabs and everything. So I kind of already had an idea just from that knowledge beforehand that he was probably going to be involved in it. But I'm very intrigued with the Daniel Bryan twist for apparently not knowing anything about it and not being involved and saying Rowan wouldn't do that and just pretty much defending Rowan and not presenting it as his evil brainchild or anything like that, or like this master plan to get to Roman. So I'm actually very intrigued to see how they take it, and if it's concluded on SummerSlam or if it's drawn out for the next few weeks. And so I'm definitely excited to see where they go with it.
I am too. I think it's been well done. It's something different. A whodunit is not the newest and most innovative storyline ever done, but it hasn't been done in a long time, so it feels fresh because it's been quite some time since anybody and especially WWE has done this. And I'm intrigued. I like the fact that it feels real, although some of the camera angles are a little wonky and questionable, and whatever. I've kind of just accepted that. And Samoa Joe was also kind of a side factor here, a sub-story of him possibly turning babyface, with Roman Reigns nearly getting run down in the vehicle in the parking lot, and Samoa Joe, instead of attacking him or trash-talking him, actually called for help. And many people took that as a sign that Samoa Joe is turning face. And, if that's the case, I think it's a good time for him to turn. I think that Samoa Joe needs some kind of reboot, and I know we're talking about the mystery attacker, but as kind of a subset, I think that if Samoa Joe's turning a babyface here, it's a good time to do it, and I'm interested to see Joe as a babyface.
Yeah, definitely. Me too. And Joe this week was really intriguing as well, seeing, like you said, how he reacted and tried to call for help and was really showing sympathy and compassion towards Roman. That was a side of him that I don't think we've ever seen in WWE. So it was really cool, and just we saw a different level of Joe. And I'm, like you said, very curious to see how they take this direction as well for Joe, to see if this is maybe seeds for a full-term babyface, or maybe it was just a spur-of-the-moment type thing just to try to give it some realism, maybe get some more sympathy for Roman, and then next week Joe is back to himself. So curious to see where they take that also.
I am too, and as far as the actual attacker goes, I mean, many people are pointing to Daniel Bryan. I mean, if you read any of the big wrestling websites out there, they would tell you that this match with Roman was supposed to conclude at SummerSlam with Daniel Bryan, and they just decided not to rush it, and they wanted it to play out. And if that's the case, great. I don't think it's Eric Rowan. I think it's and I talked about this earlier in the week, that it's kind of a parallel to the Stone Cold Survivor Series 2000 when he was run down, or was it 99? Survivor Series 99 when Austin was run down by Rikishi, and Triple H was the accomplice. So I think Rowan could be the accomplice and Daniel Bryan is the driver. If that's the case, that's fine. I think that's good, because I'd rather have a storyline play out than just kind of rush it to SummerSlam. And I think it would have felt rushed if indeed Daniel Bryan is the attacker. I think it would have felt a little rushed, but I was trying to think of a motive for why Daniel Bryan would do this. The only thing I could come up with is that back in 2015, when Daniel Bryan was supposed to win the Royal Rumble and the fans revolted, and
in Philly, right?
Exactly. Oh God, yeah, that was one of my favorite Rumbles of all time, just for the reaction of the crowd. And,
real quick before you go on, have you tried to go back and watch that Rumble from 2015, like that specific one on the network? Have you tried since then?
Not on the network. Why? Are you having trouble doing it?
I swear, and sometimes I feel like I'm going crazy, but I've tried to go back and watch that Rumble like a handful of times on various occasions, and it will not play throughout the whole show. Like, I'll get maybe halfway through, and then it just rolls over to the 2016 Rumble. And like, I've tried on every different, like, I've tried on my TV, my phone, everything. I'm like, why can't I watch this Rumble? And I'm like, I wonder if it's like a conspiracy since everyone booed Roman, well, that type of thing.
That's what I was going to say, is I think they're still in the middle of editing the crowd reaction. Yeah,
right. They haven't tweaked it yet. But just side note, so if it comes across your mind, just, just for me, if you don't mind, just try checking that out and see if it is just me or whatever.
All right, you said it's about halfway through, right? So.
Yeah. I think it'll show me like maybe not even halfway through, maybe 2 matches, but I know I definitely can't see the actual Rumble match itself.
Okay, all right, yeah, I'll give that a try. That's very interesting that out of all pay-per-views, that's the one.
Right,
that
exactly.
Something's not
exactly.
Right there. Here come all the conspiracy theories, but
right.
Yeah.
But anyway, I'm sorry.
No, that's fine. I actually don't even remember what I was talking about, but I was talking about the slow burn. I'm fine with the slow burn. I think it's a good thing for storylines to play out, and patience Patience, I think, is going to be key for the success of both brands and the ratings of both brands. And so I don't know about you. I'm willing to not rush to a match at SummerSlam just because it's SummerSlam, and I'm willing to maybe just get another piece of it at SummerSlam, but not end up in a match. We just get another clue as to who's behind this.
Yeah, and SummerSlam is already a loaded show in and of itself, so we definitely don't need any other match added, especially a match to that caliber. That's something that you want the fans to look forward to and enjoy, so I definitely don't think they're going to rush it. And like you said earlier, I think you made a good point. I think if it was going to be Daniel Bryan, the match would have been made official for SummerSlam. So I think since it's not officially Daniel Bryan as the attacker, I think we're going to see this play out for the next few weeks.
Yeah, exactly, and I think I'm fine with that. All right, well, moving on to just a couple more things, and then we'll get to our SummerSlam predictions. What did you think of Seth Rollins getting beat down for a second week in a row, and more importantly, his very somber, very real, after beatdown, I guess you'd call it a promo, from Seth when he was talking about how this is all I have. What did you think of that whole segment on Raw?
So, me personally, I was hoping I was not going to see Seth on Monday because I think it really would have played up the whole him being brutally attacked and being injured and just selling the beating that he took from Brock Lesnar, because it was just like an insane beatdown. So when he actually did come out, I was like, all right, well, at least he's selling it. At least they aren't like playing it off like, he's kind of hurting a little bit, but for the most part he's okay and he like ran down or anything crazy. But the thing that stood out to me the most was the line he said at the end where he guarantees victory. That, I feel like, is going to be a major key one way or another. I feel like if he guarantees it and he does win, then that just validates him even more as the babyface. But if he guaranteed it and loses, does he kind of snap starting on Monday? If he loses to Brock Lesnar, because he said that's the only thing that he has in his life and that's what he fights for, that's what he lives for, everything, which is true. We've seen video packages and everything like that. But if he loses, do we see him kind of take like not a heel turn, but just like a turn towards the dark side where he just loses it. He goes crazy on everyone. There's just like this sinister side to him. So I'm looking forward to see who pulls out in the match at SummerSlam, and I guess I'll save my prediction for later. But I'm really intrigued with this one as well to see what they end up doing with Seth and if he's gonna win the title, and then if he does, who does he face after that? But that's a whole other story. But yeah, the whole beatdown on Monday, I think if he was gonna show up, that's it had to happen that way because he can't get any type of retribution back on Brock Lesnar a week before. So I think what they had to work with, they did probably as best as they could, as kind of gruesome as it was, because it was just weird seeing him like just take forever to get to the ring. Like I was like, oh, come on. Like,
yeah, I know, and it felt much like Becky Lynch's never-ending injury leading up to SummerSlam, that she was just constantly limping around. I was like, somebody please.
Yeah, like I don't want to see that. Just be injured and stay in the back and not be able to come out. Like we get that. We wouldn't have looked at him differently if he didn't show up. Like we understand, and I guess we should appreciate that he did show up, and I get that, but it was just like kind of hard to watch. It was just like, man. Yeah. I don't know. But
I know what they were trying to go for too. They're trying to go for empathy. They're trying to go
and
for
I get it.
And I know what they're doing and I appreciate it. But at the same time, I mean, Seth comes out there and was limping. I don't remember him attacking his legs per se. I don't know why he was limping so much, as he should have just been, clasping his ribs. But I mean, that's fine. That's fine. And as far as Brock, I mean, it's hard not to get into the predictions. So I'm not going to. But this could be, like you said, a turning point for Seth one way or the other. And while many people look at this match as a lock, like many others at SummerSlam, we need to be very, very careful with this card. It looks so easy to predict, and I don't think it's going to be as easy as people believe. On paper, there are so many matches you go, oh, clearly this person. I mean, 75% of this card looks like you could place real money on it, and that's what scares the hell out of me with this card. So, and I'm really trying hard not to get into it. We will in just a minute. But I enjoyed the beatdown of Seth in terms of me wanting to see see Seth get his retribution. I want to see him beat down Brock Lesnar. I just hope he doesn't have to resort to the constant low blows, and he is able. And I said this earlier too this week. I think the majority of the match is going to be Seth just on his ribs or holding his chest, like gasping for air and coughing, and Brock toying with him. I think that's going to be 80% of the match, and then if Seth wins, I'm not going to give it away yet, but if Seth wins, it's going to be a last second, I don't want to say fluke win, but it's going to be 20% offense and Seth somehow pulls it off if he does. But one other thing I wanted to talk to you about, and then we'll get into SummerSlam, is Goldberg's return, and he's facing Dolph Ziggler. Your thoughts?
I get it. He needed to come back, and I kind of view it the same way I kind of viewed Undertaker coming back for Extreme Rules with Roman, just to kind of wash the taste out of everyone's mouth about their match. So I guess it makes sense to me in that aspect with Goldberg returning. I don't really, Dolph, I get it in the sense that Dolph is a phenomenal worker. He's a great seller. He's, probably one of the best workers that they have in the company, especially for as long as he's been there now. But I guess the thing that bothers me the most about it is we know it's just a random match, and is it going to be a squash match, or what does he do after this? Because I don't know if you've heard, but I heard that he signed a contract for like 4 matches, so this will be his second one, and then he'd have 2 more after that. So I don't know if this would be like a long drawn out thing, which I doubt it would, being that it's with Ziggler, or if it in the long run turns out to be leading to a Shawn Michaels and Goldberg match for like Saudi Arabia or anything. I heard that too, but I don't know. It's crazy seeing Goldberg back, but he's in phenomenal shape. It just never ceases to amaze me, like how jacked he still looks for being his age. It's just insane. He is still Goldberg, it's just so fun to see in that aspect.
He is. There's no question Goldberg actually still feels like Goldberg in terms of his body type. Yeah, he has a gray goatee versus, his natural hair color back in the 90s. I understand that. But in terms of his body shape and in the cardiovascular conditioning, I think he is as good as he could possibly be at his age. Now, that's never been the question with Goldberg, though. The problem is, as good as, or if you want to spin it as Goldberg is still Goldberg, well, that's also the bad side. Bad side of this whole thing is Goldberg is still Goldberg because he still has the wrestling skill set of Goldberg, and that's the problem. And it was severely exposed with his match in Undertaker, with the Undertaker a couple of pay-per-views ago. It was, and that's the problem with Goldberg is he is not the most skilled technician. He's got a couple of power moves. It's just, and Goldberg would be the first to admit that he's very limited in his moveset, and his timing is still a bit off. I mean, that's just always been Goldberg.
Yeah.
So for him to be put against Dolph Ziggler, I think is the perfect opponent for Goldberg. I mean, he's the opposite of Undertaker in terms of mobility, being able to sell, quickness, all that would make Goldberg look like $1 million and carry the majority of the match. So let's just jump into SummerSlam here because I can't handle it anymore. Let's start right at the top, and I'll toss it to you. Brock Lesnar versus Seth Rollins for the Universal Championship. Who do you have and why?
Oh, man. And it's so hard to make a decision for this one because, kind of like we spoke about earlier, it's depending on what direction they take with Seth, and for Brock for that matter. If he does retain, who is he going to face next? Because you can't go back to Seth for the third time, because then it'll start to feel like Roman and Brock did. And you don't want that because Seth is still, I feel, in his building phase as the face of the company, or at least the top baby face. So I don't think that you can, or his character can take any more beatings consistently, or just any more dry feuds, because he's already been through that with Baron. He doesn't need to do that with Brock. I think as much as I want Seth to win, I think Brock is going to keep it here and then move on and maybe face a Bobby Lashley type, or maybe even a Braun Strowman. If he's going to remain a heel, I could see them moving over to Braun and Brock to kind of get us through the last phase of the summer, which is, it's crazy to think it's just the beginning of August, because SummerSlam is normally the end of August. I'm like, oh, fall's about to be here or whatever, but yeah, I could see them definitely maybe keeping in on Brock and moving on to Braun. So that's who I'm thinking they're going to go with tonight, or go with on Sunday rather, is keeping it with Brock.
I'm with you on this one. I know at the beginning of this, when this match was announced, I said, oh, Seth Rollins, he's regaining it. I mean, he obviously has to regain it. As the story has progressed and Brock put the beatdown he did on Seth, and Vince McMahon's obsession with Brock Lesnar, I think it's going to end up being Brock retaining, and I feel pretty good about that because most people are probably looking at this going, oh, well, yeah, Seth, it looks like he has a disadvantage, but he'll overcome. He'll climb the mountaintop. That's what baby faces do. Mm-hmm. But I think it's a trap here. I really think it's a trap where some people are viewing it as that. I'm viewing it as his injured ribs as a way, or whatever injury he actually has, as a way to make an excuse for Rollins losing without actually going, oh, well, Brock just straight up beat him. And while Seth won't come up with that as the reason he lost, it's a way in the minds of fans to go, oh, well, he was seriously injured coming into this match, so I could see where he'd lose to Brock. It's an escape. It's a good way to make Seth keep him strong for showing up, putting up a good fight. He probably will have some very, very close near falls, maybe get a couple of stomps, a lot of false finishes in terms of Seth, oh my God, he's going to pull it off. And Brock ends up pulling out one last F5, and Brock ends up retaining. And, you have Michael Cole and Corey Graves talking about the guts and determination of Seth Rollins to even show up and put up the fight that he did. Again, I think 75% of this match or more is going to be Brock looking like he's toying. He's going to be doing his little bounce. He's going to be smiling, and he's going to be toying with Seth the majority of the match while he writhes in pain, and then when his guard's down, you'll think, Seth will have that babyface fury. Oh my God, he could pull it off. Ultimately, the fans' dreams will be crushed, and Brock will retain. I just think that's the only way this can go down.
I'm right there with you. With you.
All right. Well, next match, and it's funny. I mentioned this earlier too this week. This Raw Women's Championship match with Becky Lynch and Natalya. They're labeling it a submission match. However, aren't both of their finishing maneuvers submissions? So it's it's such a false, well, not false, but an overkill to name this a submission match. It would have been ended in a submission anyway.
It's like saying a regular a regular match is going to end by pinfall. Like the majority of the time it does anyway.
Right. It would be like Austin versus Triple H in a pinfalls only match. Well, no kidding. I mean, so yeah, it's just, I understand what they're doing. It's trying to add a gimmick that's already ingrained in the match by default. But nonetheless, what are your thoughts on this, and who do you think's going to win?
Whew, this one, I'm just going to say I wouldn't be surprised if they pulled the trigger on Natalya just to get that reaction for her. And to have Becky in chase mode, because I think Becky is strongest when she is in chase mode. When she has the title, everyone still loves her, but I don't want to say the excitement is gone, but it's just kind of like she's just like hit a plateau, and she's just like she's on level field with everyone else, like in ring wise and just like, I guess match wise, but I think she kind of needs that little like kickstart in her character as well, kind of like Seth in a way, but obviously a little bit different. And I think they're going to be too tempted to pull the trigger, being in Canada and everything that's built around it, with everything that Becky has said about Canada being their new hero and just like trashing Natalya and all that. So I love Becky to death, but I think they're going to go with Natalya on this one. Which kind of leads into my next prediction, or my prediction for the Trish and Charlotte match. But yeah, at least for this one, I'm unfortunately going to say I think they go with Natalya.
That's an interesting pick. I'm leaning towards you. I'm actually deciding in my brain as we speak, just because this one could go both ways. I mean, you have Becky, who won it at WrestleMania. The fans went on with her on the journey. It was such an amazing moment, all that, and she became the biggest face of the women's revolution in an instant, trying to turn her heel last SummerSlam. So we're coming up now on a full year of her as a babyface, ironically, when they try to turn her heel. So what's interesting to me, too, is not just who's going to win this, but how does the crowd react? Because they're in Toronto. It's Natalya's home country. Becky Lynch is not as hot as she was. I actually think she's becoming a little bit unlikable with her arrogance. And kind of her swagger. And I know she's supposed to be the man, and I still support Becky, but she doesn't have that mystique and momentum behind her that she did when Rousey was there and she was, as you said, in chase mode. So I'm very interested to see if for the first time in a year, Becky Lynch gets booed by the Canadian crowd, who will go with blood is thicker than water and support Natalya. So I'm going to say I'm going to go against you, but not actually by a whole lot. This is a very tough match actually to call. One of the few that don't look easy. I'm going to say Becky retains and the crowd boos her, and it'll be interesting to see if do they dare run with that heel turn with Becky? I don't even know if we go there yet. I think with her on the face of 2K20 and all that, they probably won't. I think it's just Bizarro World is whatever they call Canada. And so I think Becky retains. I'm expecting a very good match, and then Becky moves on to her next opponent.
Yeah, I think one of the main things I'm looking forward to the most about this match is just the dynamic and the energy and the atmosphere around it, because I think Canada never disappoints, and of course, like all the momentum, like I said earlier, that's built up behind this match. I don't think it's going to be a heel turn for Becky. I think if anything, they're just going to play it up for that one night. And as you were talking, I was sitting here thinking, like, man, like I could kind of see them too letting them have this fantastic match. Us thinking Natty's about to get it, Becky reverses it or whatever. Becky wins, and then the place goes crazy, just booing her, and then just Becky relishing in that moment. Like, I can just see her holding the title up and just, like, with that, eating grin on her face, just, like, eating up all the hatred from them. So, as you were talking, I was like, man, I could see them going with Becky, too. So, like you said, this one is really hard.
It is, and the crowd reaction is almost as interesting as the match itself here. I'm very interested to see how the crowd reacts. It's a big pay-per-view, arguably their second biggest of the year in Natalya's home country, yet Becky Lynch is the organic homegrown babyface. This match is very intriguing on a lot of levels, so... All right, moving down to the WWE Championship match, Kofi Kingston and Randy Orton. Who do you have and why?
First off, I just need to comment on how much I loved the promotion video they did for Randy. I think it was not this past week, but the week before when Randy did his sit down and kind of just went over their history, the story, and his side of everything. I just thought it was so well done, and his video is what really like hooked me for this match. I knew it was going to be like, a solid in-ring match, but I didn't really think that they were really focusing on the story as much. But man, like I really enjoyed what they've done with this build-up. And I'm very surprised in the amount of effort that they've put into it, honestly. But I don't think they made the change here. I think it's going to be a good match, and I think this is the match that Kofi needs to solidify his run as a champion and beat a top worthy competitor and obviously a future Hall of Famer in Randy Orton. So I see Kofi retaining, but I think it's going to be probably a good 25-minute match.
Yes, I'm looking forward to this match for the quality of it. Both guys are extremely seasoned. They have 30 years of experience between one another. They're good friends in real life, which I think will actually motivate Randy Orton to not just phone it in. And when Randy Orton phones it in, he's so good that it's still like a 3-star match.
Right.
Yeah.
And I didn't even know that they were friends outside, or like close friends. That's pretty cool. So yeah, that even more, like you said, Randy's definitely going to deliver for Kofi then.
He has to. I think he will. I think Randy Orton will actually care about this match, unlike just kind of going through the motions of every other match he has ever, because Randy Orton's in preservation mode. Randy Orton's in longevity mode. He's kind of in cruise control, and he doesn't have to kick it up to 4th or 5th gear because he knows he's an established legacy star that has already paid his dues, has nothing left to prove to anybody, and is rarely ever extra motivated to have that 4 or 5-star match. It's in him. Randy Orton can certainly have it if he wants it and given enough time. So I think that this match could be the match of the night in terms of match quality, where this is awesome chants come out and all that stuff. I think Kofi ends up retaining. This will be the win that solidifies him. At the same time, as I said at the very beginning of this, I'm scared because this match looks so easy to predict. It seems so easy to pick Kofi Kingston here when Randy Orton, if he wins, you could make him a very good heel champion, being the guy that says, I told you so. Randy Orton or Kofi couldn't hang in the big leagues, and you have Kofi in chase mode. I don't think it'll
Man,
happen,
that's
but
true.
you could really make Randy Orton white hot, while Randy Orton is still unbelievably in the prime of his career and able to really turn it up when he wants to. So while Randy is just kind of the guy that's a legacy star, he'll never really get the championship back because he doesn't need it. You could really maximize Randy Orton here while he's still in his prime and make him a monster heel where Kofi chases. So I wouldn't put it past him. I wouldn't put money on this match because it looks too easy to pick, but I'm going to go with the easy pick of Kofi Kingston.
Yeah, that's so true. And I'm just listening to you say that. Just imagine if Kofi was in chase mode as well going into the fall with SmackDown moving over to Fox and just seeing Randy being that heel, that ultimate bad guy. Because he was a very good bad guy. You know, a lot of people downplay him, or of course you can definitely tell when he's phoning it in or whatever, but he was a good bad guy when the company really had no one else. So that could be a fun story. But yeah, part of me, like, I just don't see them pulling the trigger on Kofi just yet.
I don't either. I think out of all the champions that won at WrestleMania, what I'm talking about is Seth, obviously, who lost it already, Becky and Kofi. I think Kofi will be the one who holds his belt the longest, if I was to guess. Just because of the story that he's had and the organic grassroots movement he's got, and he's been there 11 years, and all that stuff. He's got a lot behind him. I don't know. If it were me, I would pull the trigger just because Randy Orton, if he's going to go all in, that's a big if, would be a extremely good heel, and he loves being a heel. You could do so much with it, but I think Kofi's going to keep it. And just as we continue, though, during the year here, we have to remember, the longer the year goes, typically more heel champions win because it's a big cycle of heel champions are typically crowned later in the year so that when WrestleMania rolls around in 6-7 months, you have that babyface who finally climbs the mountain and defeats that heel champion, and then we go back through the cycle again. So the later the year gets, I think the more heel champions we will see. So as the months and weeks tick by, I would be very hesitant to pick babyface championship victories as we move forward. So, speaking of championship matches, we have the SmackDown Women's Championship match of Bayley versus Ember Moon, and I'll give my quick thoughts. I'm not invested in this at all, and it's a shame because it's the SmackDown Women's Championship. I know they tried to really shock people and get people instantly interested in Bayley again and have like a quick fix for her character. But the problem is there was no follow-up to it. There's no follow-through. They just kind of let her flap out there in the wind. And she's got the belt, but she has been losing a lot of momentum since that time. I'm not invested in her character. I'm not invested in Ember Moon's character. Bayley just decided to select Ember Moon because she was standing there and she has a lot of charisma. That's her explanation for choosing Ember Moon. It was very weak. Very weak. Then she ends up trying to help Ember Moon this week it was bizarre. This championship match, I will say I unfortunately and I'm super into the women's movement. I support it, but this match is really lost me here. I think this unfortunately will be a concession stand break for a lot of people, and I see Bayley retaining, but I wish I was more invested in this match.
Yeah, same. The only little glimmer of hope that I have in this storyline is when Bayley hit Ember with the Bayley to belly and did that smirk, and you actually heard people cheer for her. Like, in the background, people reacted positively to what she had just done to Ember because it showed a little bit of edge and a little bit of, depth to Bayley's character. And, she was actually reacting to something. It kind of took me back to when, oh my gosh, I think it was Alexa Bliss when she had that feud and they had, an Extreme Rules match and she went and hit her with the kendo stick.
Oh, yeah.
I think it was Alexa Bliss, but it kind of just took me back to just thinking Bayley could be really good, and Bayley, I don't know what it is, if she's just too conformed to this character now or what they can do, but it just makes me think into of course all the great matches she's had in NXT, but it makes me miss how good of a character and how solid she was and how much support she had. But like you said, I'm not really too much invested in this match. I would love for it to be a heel turn for Bayley, kind of what they did with Becky, or try to do last year with Becky, but just do it with Bayley this time. And just to see what happens. What's the worst that can happen? It doesn't happen and she just continues to get the reaction she's getting. So I think it'd be fun, but I see her retaining as well. I think it's gonna be a quick match, probably less than 10 minutes.
Yeah, I'd give us 8 to 10 minutes is where I
Yeah.
was thinking too. Now, again, if they ever decided to try to turn Bayley, and I think that actually may be exactly what she needs, and that little smirk, I appreciate that, and maybe that's a little bit of an Easter egg. I doubt it. I don't think
Yeah.
WWE is thinking that in depth, unfortunately. I wish it would happen. However, if they did it, I have a feeling it may be the reaction to the same thing that happened with Becky Lynch when they tried to turn her heel. If WWE ever decides to show the evil side of Bayley, the dark side of Bayley, I think the fans would love it because it would be such.
Sure.
Because you're all thinking. I mean, this character is like kind of the innocent, shy, quiet, humble girl that they showed in NXT, and people loved her because she was, just you wanted to get behind her because she was just so innocent and so naive, and you can relate, right? So now they bring her up to the main roster. All the damage that was done with the awful Sasha Banks storyline that was, I don't even want to get into because it hurts my head to think about all the directions they went with it. And then they just decide to bring her back and make her tag team champions with Bayley, the first ever women's tag team champions, and then they both lose them. Sasha has a hissy fit. Bayley disappears too. She comes back. Boom, she's SmackDown women's champion. I think if they just take Bayley, give her a new entrance, stop with the Bayley buddies, stop with all the kiddie stuff, and give her an edge that people would love. I'm telling you, I think if you put not in a complete opposite, but just make her hair different. Like, don't do the side ponytail. Maybe like frizz up her hair a little bit. I remember when Stephanie McMahon turned heel for the first time against her father and aligned herself with Triple H. She did a perm or a frizz to her hair, and it made her everything just changed about Stephanie McMahon's aura. If they did that with Bayley and put some darker makeup on her, I mean, you could really do something here. I just don't think they'll do it. I think it's going to be a very straightforward championship match where Bayley retains.
Yeah, same. And I think if they were really serious and really invested in having Bayley turn heel, the perfect person for her to do it against would be Sasha. Have Sasha come back, make a run-in to help, maybe even do it at SummerSlam. If hypothetically speaking, Sasha's great, everything's good to go with them, she comes back, Bayley, maybe there's some outside interference for whatever reason, or whatever happens, Sasha just comes out to try to help Bayley, it backfires, or maybe it doesn't even backfire. Sasha helps Bayley, Bayley doesn't appreciate her, Bayley, for whatever reason, Bayley is mad that Sasha's out there, maybe trying to steal the spotlight, whatever, story you want to come up with, and just completely demolishes Sasha. That way Bayley has a good opponent and a good face to fight off of and to react to. So I think that was why Becky got over so well last year, is because she had a strong competitor to bounce off of. So, that's a whole other topic, of course, but I just think that would be the best case scenario for that situation.
Now, see, I'm like, just in my mind, I'm imagining this happening, how awesome it would be, and then just the reality of what is actually going to happen just comes over me like a cloud of depression, and you just know that that's not going to happen. It would be awesome. I would love it. If you just took the Becky Lynch formula, I think you could apply it to Bayley, and Bayley she would be one of the most talked about WWE female superstars of probably the year with this turn if they did it right. I just don't see it happening. But if you're going to do it, yes, it needs to be a meaningful turn. It has to be against maybe a former bestie or whatever you want to. I don't even know if they're friends in the storylines anymore. I have no idea. Who knows? But yeah, you'd have to involve Sasha somehow. Okay, moving down the line here, Kevin Owens and Shane McMahon. My quick thoughts on this. And again, Kevin Owens' career is on the line. This one, it seems a slam dunk, and I just don't see, though, if Kevin Owens loses, how they get themselves out of him contractually saying he will leave WWE. I mean, there's ways around it. WWE's done it before, where, even when Stone Cold at Fully Loaded 1999 told Vince McMahon, if I beat The Undertaker in the first blood match, you're gone from WWE. And then Stone Cold was in storyline the only one able to bring Vince back, so they brought Vince back. I mean, there's ways that you could get around this kind of thing. I'm going to go with unfortunately, the easy pick. I think Kevin Owens wins. He gets a couple of stunners, and it's a straightforward win for Kevin. But the problem is, and the problem that scares me, again, it's SummerSlam. It's their second biggest pay-per-view. It's a McMahon. Vince McMahon maybe gets himself involved. I don't know. But I think Kevin Owens wins. I just don't know how, and maybe you can enlighten me, how, if Kevin Owens loses, how they get around it. But Kevin Owens is my pick.
Like you said earlier, with the history of Shane's matches for the past 6 months or so, I think the easy pick obviously is Kevin Owens, because of course they don't want, Kevin to quit, but I think Kevin loses and each week fights his way into the arenas like a Stone Cold type. Like the thing that kind of messes with this the most is that Kevin was the one who put it up there. It wasn't Shane who backed Kevin into a corner saying, blah, 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 I'll only fight you if you put your career on the line, whatever. It was Kevin who initiated this whole thing. And yeah, they tried to clean it up this week, but it was just too late, and it just did. Of course, Shane isn't going to do it now. But so I think that's the monkey wrench in this whole thing, and maybe the thing that they, could have done differently. But I could see them having Kevin lose and try to be that bad, type, and try to, bust in through the arena, maybe take advantage of social media and have him confront Shane on the outside, like in the parking lot or something like that. So I could see them going in that direction. My gut kind of feels like, just to make it simple and to be over with it and to get Shane off of TV for a while, Kevin wins, but I could see them going with Shane. So I think I'm going to make the bold choice and go with Shane.
I'm not going to blame you. I mean, the way you laid it out, they're trying to do a little bit of a flavor of Stone Cold with Kevin Owens, and I don't want to see him be Stone Cold Part 2. I don't need that. I need him to be Kevin Owens. But that logic of the rebellious superstar, the one that just defies the authority and just makes his way in the building, beats up security guards, sneaks in somehow and attacks Shane week after week, I could see that, absolutely. Or maybe whoever helps Shane win, because Shane's not going to beat Kevin Owens on his own. Whoever helps Shane win maybe is ultimately who he's going to come in and attack, leading to an actual match with an actual wrestler week after week after week, coming in the building somehow. So, yeah, I could see that too. And maybe that's a good way to get around the contractually obligated, I'm going to leave WWE if I lose this match. So, yeah, fine. I'm going to go with Owens. You're going to go with Shane, but both are extremely plausible, even though Owens is the, quote, obvious choice. All right, so let's get to Trish and Charlotte Flair. I know you had some thoughts on this as well, so your pick and your thoughts.
Yeah, so kind of branching off of what I was saying earlier with Natalya and Becky, part of the reason why I think Natalya is going to win is because I think Charlotte is going to lose here. Charlotte, and do I think Charlotte should lose? Absolutely not. I think Charlotte should win. She's the future of the company. She's the best women's wrestler they have. And she's money. But in that same token, that's why she could absorb a loss from a Trish Stratus. That's why she could absorb a loss from Trish, because I think I heard somewhere that this was going to be Trish's last match, but we've obviously heard that in the past. So I don't think they're going to go with her winning here. So I could see them just having Charlotte come in and just it being a very good match, maybe 7 to 9 minutes, 10 minutes max, I would say, and then just Charlotte going completely over Trish and the crowd just hating it, because of course Trish's hometown, just like Kevin and Natalya are, and so they're going to get that huge monster pop. So I could see them going with Charlotte winning here and just eating that hatred up from Canada.
I think we're going to have a lot of angry fans on Sunday, and I'm with you too. I think it's a perfect opportunity to put Charlotte Flair to that next level too. I mean, Trish is nowhere near, I believe, and there's no disrespect to Trish, but I don't think she's anywhere near the athleticism or strength or any of that Charlotte is. And that's not a knock on Trish. This is just a different generation of women. And so this is a perfect opportunity to get more heat on Charlotte, for her to brag forever about beating the legendary Trish Stratus. There's a lot that could be gained from Charlotte winning, and not a lot to be gained by Charlotte losing, because Trish is going to be one and done, or maybe two and done. Trish is not sticking around. She's not the future. You go with who is your future. Who can gain the most out of winning this match? And it's lopsided that Charlotte Flair has the most to gain from from this match and the most to lose if she loses. So Charlotte has to win this. She's going to go bragging forever. Maybe Lita pops up. I don't know. Maybe there's a one-on-one with Lita. Who knows? But I think Charlotte Flair, she has to win this. Charlotte's been also kind of floundering out there, missing from SmackDown for a couple of months, just shows up. I mean, she's kind of everywhere. Charlotte doesn't have a whole lot of direction right now. So after this, after she beats Trish and brags about it, maybe on SmackDown Live, somebody who is a supporter or a friend of Trish comes out and shuts Charlotte up for a couple of months of a worth of a program. So Charlotte wins. I expect, as you said, 10 minutes or less in a very straightforward, but I think it's going to be a good match. I wouldn't put it at the top of the list. I think it's just going to be just like a B- B match, and that's all I expect out of this. So I expect a lot of booing and a lot of pissed off Canadian fans with the predictions that we are choosing.
I know. Me too. Me too. Sorry, guys.
I know. All right, so Goldberg versus Dolph Ziggler. Who wins this one?
Goldberg. I think it would be hilarious to see Dolph win somehow. Just to see the reaction from everyone on social media, just how insane everyone would go. So part of me would just find it funny to see that aspect, but I think it's pretty obvious Goldberg is gonna win. It's just a matter of how long with this one. And Dolph is gonna look like $1 million losing to Goldberg, because Dolph is that perfect. And you couldn't find a better in-ring worker and seller for Goldberg than Dolph Ziggler in WWE. So it's why I wish there was more story and more time to build up to this particular actual match, and not the Shawn Michaels twist and Miz twist that they were doing. Because that would have been fun just to hear Ziggler maybe mouth off about Goldberg. But it's just a matter of time and to see how long this match is going to go. I give it 2 minutes, 3 minutes.
Yeah,
but
definitely under 5 minutes. I mean, just 5 minutes or less on this one. That's the over-under. Goldberg wins. I'm 80% confident Goldberg wins. Could Dolph win and then brag about it forever? Yeah, maybe. But Goldberg is the one that needs repair right now from his disaster of a match. And Ziggler is Teflon. I mean, you expect Ziggler to lose the big match. That's just how it's been his entire career. Is that Ziggler, we are educated to believe until told otherwise and have a large sample size of it, that Ziggler is just the guy that talks a good game, it performs well in the ring, is always a great asset to his opponent because he makes them look like $1 million, which, as you said, is exactly why Ziggler's here. He is the antithesis of Undertaker's style, which is it's not a bad thing. It's what Goldberg needs because he's so limited in skill set. So Goldberg wins and he moves on, and if he has a 4-match contract, fine. I mean, I don't think they're going to have a rematch. So Goldberg goes over. They try to erase the match with Undertaker from people's minds, and we move on. All right, so United States Championship, AJ Styles and Ricochet. This could also be a candidate for a match of the night, given enough time.
Oh, yeah.
What are your thoughts on this? Could it be the match of the night, and who wins?
So I was expecting Rey to get his win back and the title back, but seeing how strong they're pushing the OC and that faction and the Gallows and Andrews, see them keeping it on AJ. I could see, maybe one of them interfering or, maybe doing something to help AJ win and not just being a clean victory. But I think it's going to be, like you said, a very, very good match, probably match of the night, if not the match of the night, probably best match of the night. But I think right now they're focusing on AJ and rebuilding this faction. So I'm gonna say AJ wins here, but it's gonna be a great match. I'm really looking forward to it.
Absolutely, this is going to be one of those matches that, again, they've had a couple of matches now to get a feel for each other. I expect every match that they have to be better than the last. And their styles complement each other. Everybody's always looking to see the wacky, crazy reversal or crazy offensive maneuver that Ricochet's going to do. There's going to be a lot of just jaw-dropping moments in terms of oh my God, I can't believe I just saw him do that. And that's fine. I mean, that's what this match is billed to be. And I expect AJ to come out on top. This one, I know that there's a lot of slam dunks. it would just make no sense to have Ricochet reclaim his United States Championship. They are in the rebuilding process of the OC, which is the original clan, the only clan, I don't know, whatever weird acronym that they had for the Bullet Club, which was the club, and then the OC. I don't know. Whatever they are, they're in the rebuilding process of it. They're holding a ton of gold, and that is what the focus of this should be. AJ Styles as United States Champion, I think, is a better way to build the belt than having Ricochet holding it, even though Ricochet is an up-and-coming star, and I think he has a very bright future. Right now it's about building the value of the belt, and I think AJ Styles does that better right now than Ricochet. All right, so Finn Balor versus The Fiend, Bray Wyatt. I don't believe we're getting the Demon here. It is just plain old Clark Kent, Finn Balor, not Superman, versus The Fiend, Bray Wyatt. So I think this one has to... I know that I said that at the beginning of the show, but this one would make zero sense to have Finn Balor win. Finn Balor has been defined down to a very scary level at this point. The Fiend, Bray Wyatt, I know he's booked as a heel, but at the same time, Bray Wyatt right now, he couldn't even get booed attacking Kurt Angle in his hometown.
Right.
That's how... I don't know what WWE and why they're struggling to go up against the stream here and against fans' reactions that have been consistently cheering for Bray Wyatt. I don't know why they're trying to book him as a heel. I think it's going to fail miserably. I think that they're going to be it's going to be a very, very heavy favorite for Bray Wyatt in terms of crowd reaction Sunday. I think Bray Wyatt wins. He wins very convincingly, and the crowd loves it, even though he's booked as a heel. What do you think?
I agree with you 100%. Part of me, of course, if they have the match, I see The Fiend winning. I don't think we're going to get the Demon here. I've heard that Finn wanted to take like a few months off, so I see this just being like the blowaway match for Finn. Give him some time off, let him chill, relax, whatever. And he deserves it. You know, he's been going hard for however long now. And obviously this is Bray Wyatt's time. You don't put this type of momentum and energy and effort and build into a character and then just have him lose the first match. Of course not. But I don't think we're actually going to get a match. I can see something happening either backstage, during the show, or we see like little things, or maybe throughout the day, like we see Finn arriving and they just kind of play it up. You see like the puppets everywhere, and then he gets attacked backstage before he even makes it to the ring, because I think they have 9 matches on the show or something like that. So it's going to be a long show. So I could see them needing, besides the Goldberg match, like if you want to call that, what's probably going to be a squash match. I could see them needing another short match or short segment. So I could see them just having the Fiend attack Finn backstage, and that would be another reason for Finn to take some time off.
Yeah, I don't think there's really no other way to do this. I think Bray runs away with this. Even if it's not, as you said, an official match, Bray will somehow demolish Finn Balor. There's no need to bring out the Demon, because the Demon character, I understand they're trying to protect it. As cool as that would be, and as like mysterious as that would be, the Demon versus the Fiend, I think you do that down the line when Finn Balor has been reestablished as a legitimate threat. Plus, the Demon, as I understand, and I'm pretty sure I'm right, is that the Demon is undefeated. You don't just destroy. You don't just end that streak
exactly.
With really no build. I also need a reason for Finn Balor to bring out the Demon, not just because it's SummerSlam. I need the feud to dictate it, not just because. I mean, just like Hell in a Cell. They just have it because it's part of the pay-per-view schedule. It just drives me nuts.
Right.
So, yeah, Finn Balor is going to get demolished, destroyed, and maybe die on Sunday. He is going to lose the match or the fight or whatever it's going to be, and the crowd's going to eat it up no matter what WWE tries to do to get Bray Wyatt booed. So, one more match, and I don't think you and I are having a whole lot of thought on it, is the Cruiserweight Championship match with Drew Gulak and Oney Lorcan. Who wins? Well, I'll give you mine. I think Drew Gulak, and just because. I mean, I honestly don't have a whole lot of investment in this. What about you?
Same. They're both really good. I've seen a few matches from Lorcan, and he's decent. So I think it's going to be a good match. The Cruiserweight match always delivers. I actually think Lorcan is more entertaining on Twitter than, like what he's actually doing on TV. No knock against him. He's just hilarious on Twitter. And everything is like all caps. It's just, just very entertaining. So, but yeah, I see Gulak retaining here. But one thing, if you don't mind if I backtrack really quick just to get your opinion on, what if you think if they do stick with Eric Rowan being the guy who was behind the whole attack against Roman, what if the Fiend, Bray Wyatt, put him up to it? And that's why Daniel has no idea, because it wasn't Daniel putting Rowan up to it. It was Bray putting Rowan up to it. And not for nothing, Daniel has history with Bray as well, so it could be the form of a faction there. Like, maybe Daniel didn't know at first, but he gets sucked into, not the family, they're not going to call it the family, but whatever word or term they use to describe them, maybe just their faction, whatever they end up doing with it. But it's just a thought.
Yeah, that would be, now you got me, like, thinking about this. Like, I mean, I would, sure, I still believe that if they're trying to get Roman cheered against the Fiend, good luck. I mean, like, right now, I don't believe there's anyone you could put against Bray Wyatt because his character's so over. His mask is so badass. His Firefly Funhouse was so good. And I would like to actually see Bray Wyatt come out as, like, the evil Mr. Rogers once in a while and not just always as the Fiend. And have somebody, try to provoke it out of him. And he said he could control it. So, I mean, I wouldn't mind that version of it where he's a little bit, kind of the evil Mr. Rogers, and then when needed, the Fiend comes out, and there's a lot to do with that there. So if Bray Wyatt is indeed the true mastermind behind this, and ultimately they're looking down the line in a month or so to do the Fiend versus Roman, yeah, I think that's I would think that's awesome. And you bring Rowan back into relevancy. You could have a storyline that has Bray Wyatt, when he was facing Roman Reigns a few years ago, saying anyone but you, Roman, anyone but you, Roman. I mean, and you could bring it back because they did have a long-standing feud together. So, yeah, there's history on to draw from, whether it's Daniel Bryan, the mastermind, or it ends up being Bray Wyatt. Bray Wyatt's not going to be booed. So,
yeah, sorry, it just kind of popped in my head.
No, now you got me thinking. I mean, we all believe Daniel Bryan's been suspect number one with all the rumors floating around, but it could be very well Bray Wyatt. And if they have,
and what if he says his announcement was that he unleashed the Fiend?
Yeah. Oh, man, you need to join the writing team over there. I mean, it's just like, there's a lot of ways to go with this because the public perception is that it is Daniel Bryan, but with the fact that they canceled the match at SummerSlam between Daniel and Roman and decided to, quote, let this play itself out, I think that tells me it very well may not be Bryan. He's just kind of a red herring, and he's just a distraction for who is actually behind this. And if it's Bray Wyatt, great. I'm all for slow burns and letting stories tell themselves rather than rushing to, well, let's get to the match. That's what it's going to be anyway. So, wow, yeah. All right, well, Ashley, listen, it's been a blast. But before you go, let everyone know again about your podcast and where they can find it and where they can find you on social media.
Yeah, thank you. On Twitter, ASHMANNS. Feel free to give me a follow. I love talking with everyone. But yeah, this other podcast is called Wrestle Rewind. We're live every Thursday. I feel like that's the schedule. Going forward, we're still, like I said earlier, in the infancy stages of getting everything sorted out. But yeah, it's nothing serious. Just four friends hanging out, talking about wrestling, what's happening in the week. We talk a little bit about AEW, just anything that's been in the news or our thoughts, feelings about anything. Looking to be more interactive in the future. So yeah, definitely check us out. But again, I love talking to you, Matt, and I always look forward. And I feel like, ironically enough, whenever our 3 weeks rolls around, it's always right before a pay-per-view. So I kind of lucked out.
It always does seem like that.
It's always our prediction, so it's kind of fun.
However, I believe the next pay-per-view is Clash of Champions or Night of Champions. And I think this one, though, is like 4 or 5 weeks from SummerSlam.
True.
There's actually a pretty big gap between this SummerSlam or this pay-per-view and the next. So that streak may come to an end after this week. So I know. It did. Now that I never made that connection, but you're right. So, all right. Well, Ashley, thank you so much for coming on the show. 3 weeks flies by. So before you know it, we will be, oh my gosh, the next time we talk is going to be almost September. It'll be like, wow. So it'll be the end of August, and everybody check out the podcast. And it's Wrestle Rewind on Facebook, and eventually coming to all probably podcast forms that you can think of. It's going to be a great show. So, Ashley, thanks so much for joining me, and I will talk to you soon.
Yes, thank you so much for having me.
All right, bye.
Bye-bye.